It's the BNS in 20 Minutes or Less podcast. Your daily download of X92.9's X Mornings with Beckler and Shauna.
For House of Cars.
It's Tuesday, September 7th, 2021. I'm Beckler.
I'm Shauna.
Today is podcast episode number 997.
Holy man.
Meaning Fridays will be number 1000.
What are we going to do to celebrate?
I still don't know.
If anybody has any suggestions, can you please reach out to us and let us know? Because I don't know what to do to celebrate the 1000th episode.
I asked Bo yesterday because my son Bo is a big podcast listener. Huge Pisscast fan.
Huge Pisscast fan.
Big bee in his head.
Yeah.
And I said, Friday's our 1000th episode. What should we do? And he said, get cheese crust pizza. So I think he meant for him.
Right.
But I was like, no, I mean like on the podcast.
Fair. Yeah.
So maybe we will have stuffed crust pizza on Friday to celebrate. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what that does for you.
Yeah, not a whole lot.
So, like you said, I wish we had something to give away or like.
I know.
It's a big deal.
It is.
The last big mile, we're probably not going to hit 10,000 podcasts.
No,
so
1,000. That's huge.
Yeah.
Tell us, what should we do?
The BNS in 20 Minutes or Less podcast.
I experienced kind of a magical thing on the weekend. Cliff and I, we booked a hotel room at this golf course in Lake Country in Saskatchewan. And we wanted to have a little R&R. And we've been trying to book this hotel room at this resort for forever. And finally, this room came up and we said, okay. So we booked it. And it was really nice until we tried to go to bed around midnight, I'd say, on Saturday night. And our room was directly under the banquet hall. And there was a wedding happening directly above us, and there was zero insulation. So
you could hear everything.
Oh my God. We walked into our room and the walls were shaking and the bed was shaking and it was pounding, and it was the most intense thing I've ever experienced, to the point where it was so loud it was almost comical. I recorded a little clip, and this doesn't even do it justice, but this was sitting in our room trying to go to bed.
At what time?
This was at 12-ish, 12:30, okay. I think, in the morning. Okay, just wait, it gets worse. But then they're moving chairs, right? Okay. And then...
Oh, yeah. Is that Cliff? Oh, wow.
Like it was...
That was Cliff, wasn't it?
It was actually just...
You can hear things in your room rattling. That's brutal.
The TV was shaking and our bed was actually like bouncing against the wall. We're like, we couldn't.
That's stupid. How could they rent a room?
I was laughing, and poor Cliff was so mad because the room wasn't cheap. But I was just like,
that room wasn't cheap?
No.
If you told me you paid $40 for that, I'd be like, okay, well, you get what you pay for.
$300 a night.
Oh my God.
So
play it again, please. It's so funny. Especially Cliff's part. when the bass really kicks in.
You can hear. Oh, there's the chair again.
Yeah. Here we go.
Really good.
Oh, yeah. It's so bad.
Screaming and cheering, and then
when I played with a band, we would occasionally play like in a bar that was attached to a hotel, and I was just like, how is this happening? Who's sleeping in this place?
Yeah.
It's so loud in here.
Well, it's funny because the front desk was closed at the time when we were...
they were at the wedding.
So we left a note. And the next day we showed them this clip and they were like, oh my God. And they refunded our room for the night.
Good.
For sure.
Good.
But poor Cliff was so upset, and I honestly thought it was just hilarious because I was like, I'm tired enough that when I finally fall asleep, I probably won't hear it again. Like,
you feel it though.
No, you probably feel it, but I just thought, I was like, it's so loud. I was like, are we being punked? Like, when this was just like, oh yeah.
It's like someone's kicking the wall from the other side, isn't it? Wow.
So good.
That's the the height of relaxation there.
BNS in 20 minutes or less.
Your Saskatchewan Roughriders lost on Sunday.
Yeah, they didn't do well at all.
No.
I was a little bit disappointed, actually.
I normally watch the Rider games by myself, and I'll text with my dad during the game just because we have someone to talk to,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
During this game, I was also watching on Twitter, just seeing what fans were saying on Twitter. And I saw this tweet. This was from a Winnipeg Blue Bombers fan who was in Regina for the game.
Okay.
It said, "My friend at Crazy Eyes was attacked in the washroom by some so-called Rider fans, and they took her underwear. What the F, Riderville? I know this is not all of you. We're here to have fun, and you took her underwear?"
Beckler, why? Okay, hold on. Let's back up. First of all, Crazy Eyes.
Crazy Eyes is the one
name.
who was attacked.
Okay. How did they get her underwear?
I don't know. That's the first question. I was like, well, first of all, if this actually happened, I hope Crazy Eyes went to the police.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like she was assaulted.
Did
But the tweet has since been deleted.
Okay.
It was also like riddled with grammar errors and stuff. So I was like, I don't know.
Did they give her an atomic wedgie and then rip her underpants that way? Did they hang her from like something with?
I was wondering if maybe she was in a stall and they kicked the door in and pulled the panties right off her. Like, I don't know how that.
Like this is.
I don't know how that goes
Why
down.
did she take her underpants off? Like, were they just hanging there and they stole it? Like, got your panties.
We need more information.
This is very confusing. None
How
of
did
this
the
makes
panties
sense.
come off?
That doesn't. Okay.
Is Morgan Freeman a Rough Rider fan? I've got your panties.
You just. Again, like, you know,
I'm still in your Winnipeg
it's not
panties.
easy to steal someone's underwear.
No,
like,
it really isn't.
I don't take my underpants off in the bathroom. Like, I don't.
And like you said, you'd have to either rip them clean off.
Yeah, like the only way I can think is atomic wedgie. Yeah, and they just ripped like right in half, and then they stole them and ran away.
Or if she was wearing a skirt and they got up there.
So just,
But it also it sounds like it was other women that did this.
okay.
So my dad always talks about how he prefers
terrifying.
to watch the games from the comfort of his own home.
Yeah,
because he's got his recliner and his snacks and his beer and stuff. Plus, he doesn't really drink, and the games can get kind of wild as
Needless to say,
this Crazy Eyes has shown us
someone's
here.
gonna rip my panties. I'm
and
terrified.
Also, you watch from home, and
Of the panty snatcher.
no one will try to take your panties.
Well, yeah.
They pulled the panties right off her.
How did they? My God.
The BNS in 20 minutes or less podcast.
Etymology with Shauna.
Have you ever wondered why an oil derrick is called an oil derrick?
Why is it called an oil derrick, Shauna?
So before derrick referred to the oil derrick or something used for hoisting heavy loads like we do now, it was actually what people used to call the device to hang people. So a gallows used to be called a derrick, and it was named after a 17th century executioner from London named Thomas Derrick. And he became so well known from constantly hanging people that people started calling the gallows or the hanging device a derrick after him. And apparently he was actually, this is crazy, but he was accused of rape, and then he was pardoned by the Earl of Essex if he became an executioner. Because back then, nobody wanted to obviously become an executioner for obvious reasons, but also
Crap job.
Oh,
Bad job.
I don't think you could get much worse of a job than that. So basically, no one wanted to do it. And again, like, you'd have a target on your back, even if you were okay with the whole executing, which is also, the whole thing is crazy.
Yeah.
But he agreed. He said, no, I will become an executioner because he wanted to be pardoned. And so he did that. And he wound up hanging 3,000 people in his career as an executioner.
3,000 people.
3,000 people.
That's almost a person a day for 10 years.
Yep, including the Earl of Essex, who pardoned him. So she was the one who said if he was an executioner, he would get off. He then had to execute her down the line. I don't know what she did.
Jeez, they were just hanging everybody back then.
Holy crap,
eh?
were they ever. My God. But he also devised the beam with the topping lift and the pulleys that they used. And so he kind of went away from the traditional hanging style, and he invented that. And so then that was named after him. And
he was a trailblazer in the occupation.
Like, honest.
I get why nobody would want that job.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
You'd have to even have friends.
Well, how?
I gotta go. I got a thing here.
I mean, not to mention that people would see you do it. Like, this is what they're saying. They're saying, oh, well, like, people, see you do it, so that's bad. I'm like, but what about the fact that you have to hang people? Like, is that not? I would rather not.
Is that why the executioner, is often depicted wearing like a mask or like a hood or something, just so nobody knows who it is?
Yeah. Which is also hilarious because back then, you don't have a ton of people. You'd probably be able to figure it out.
Yeah,
right?
that's Thomas.
Yeah. He's built, like, we know that's you, Thomas. Like, come on, you're not fooling anybody. But that is why it's called a derrick. Yeah, and I guess as like hanging stopped, we started using it as more of a generic term to describe other things as well. But back then it started as the gallows. The thing that hung people was called a derrick. And
wow.
We still to this day say oil derrick. So now I'm never going to look at that device the same either.
Etymology with Shauna.
BNS in 20 minutes or less.
McKenna's sister is getting married this weekend, and Brigham, my youngest, is 4. He's the ring bearer.
Nice.
So they had to go get his outfit for the wedding. And when he got it, he said to McKenna, I thought I was going to be dressed like a bear. The ring bear?
Oh my God, that's awesome.
He misheard. And
That's amazing.
And it's funny because I thought that when I was little too. I'd always hear people talk about the ring bear at a wedding, and I'm like, where is this bear?
That is really funny. Yeah.
So he wanted to be a bear. And it was like...
They kind of should be.
Well, here's the next part of this.
Okay.
So McKenna mentioned this to her sister, and her sister mentioned it to her fiance, and they both love the idea.
Yes, that is genius.
So right now we're trying to find a bear costume. It's short notice.
A little bear costume.
A little bear costume so he can be the ring bear.
Oh my God. And all the kids that will make so much more sense.
And like by the time it clicks with people, like they have until he makes it to the altar for people to figure out why he's dressed like a bear.
That is genius.
So I thought it was so good.
That is 100% genius.
Also would have accepted a Frodo Baggins costume, but this works too. So now I got to find a little bear costume. Where would I find that?
I'm sure there's... Well, I mean, you could get like Halloween costumes. They'd have lots.
Yeah, I guess so.
You could probably rent one too if you wanted to. Although I don't know if they'd have like a really intense little bear costume.
He's got to be a scary bear. And I hope he growls at everybody.
Crap, that's amazing.
He's coming down.
I can't believe more people don't do that. That is exactly what should be happening for ring bearers from this point forward.
It's a brilliant idea, I think. And it's so cool that they're on board for it. I was like...
This is when kids their logic is you're like, yes, that makes way more sense. That's what we should be doing.
He's the ring bear.
Yes.
The BNS in 20 minutes or less podcast.
Friend of the show, Carrie, sent us a Terry of the Month nominee on the weekend.
Terry of the Month from Carrie.
And he is magnificent.
We haven't had a nominee for September yet, have we?
No, we have not. So this is the first one. So she was going for dinner at a nice steakhouse in town, and Terry walked in, and he was wearing lime green swim trunks with flip-flops. And then he had this perfectly coiffed mullet. She sent me a picture, like curls hanging down his shoulders, perfect. And then he had his sunglasses resting on his forehead, but not on the top of his head and not on his eyes, but like right on his brow. Like he used his brow to balance his Oakleys, and that's where they were sitting as he walked into this nice restaurant. Okay?
Where it looks like he has 2 sets of eyes. I've never thought about it, but that is the most Terry way to wear your sunglasses.
It is 100% the Terry way. Yeah. And then he had ripped sleeves on this black muscle shirt that was stained. And then on the back, in gigantic letters for everybody in this nice steak restaurant to read, it said, F you with an effing anchor. Like big letters where, again, anyone in the entire restaurant as he walks through will read that.
With an anchor?
With an anchor. I don't know what it means.
I don't either.
I don't understand
I've never heard that phrase before.
Nope. But it was the full words, the bad words so all the children and anybody in this nice steak restaurant could
Was
read
this place attached to a hotel by any chance? No. I mean, what if Terry was staying at the hotel and he was at the pool and then he's like, I'm going for a nice dinner, and he's wandered over?
Maybe it was. I'll have to ask. I don't think so. I didn't actually ask that question, but I don't think it was. Regardless, he just walked in and there you go. His old lady was with him too, and she was wearing a chiffon blue leopard print blouse. And
what's chiffon mean?
It's just this like fancy fabric, but anyway, at least she was dressed up. So she made up for Terry beside her, who was in his slides in lime green with the swear words on the back. So there you go.
Terry's like, I'm paying for a fancy meal. I'll wear whatever I got him want.
Exactly it. Yeah, right? Yeah, and if you don't like it, you can shove an anchor up your ass. Okay?
Terry of the Month nominee.
Terry of the Month nominee.
The BNS in 20 minutes or less podcast.
So someone messaged and said that phrase that was on Terry's shirt is from a song by the pirate metal band Ailstorm. And I found the part of the song, probably the only part of the song that I can play because the language is so bad and the rest of it. And I know this is a podcast, but there are still people that listen with their kids in their cars, so we try to be somewhat respectful of that. This is the song.
For 30 odd years, I have lived with this curse. My vocabulary was stunted at birth by a
would say pirate metal is a good descriptor.
That is fantastic.
For how that sounds. Although, whether it's a song or not, know where you are, Terry. You're in a fancy steakhouse.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against that band actually is awesome. I'm going to investigate them further because that sounded like a lot of fun. That's the whole thing though. It's just where you are. He was in a nice steakhouse and this is what he was dressed. And it
wasn't the only problem with his outfit either, was it?
No.
A friend of mine, big metalhead, in high school used to get sent home periodically because of the shirts that he wore from Cannibal Corpse or Devil Driver or whatever band he was repping that day, which, I mean, if you're a high school metalhead, is kind of a badge of honor, I think.
For sure.
Getting sent home from a Catholic school because your shirt is too metal.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing, like with this shirt, the size of the lettering could be seen from across the restaurant, and it was on his back. So wherever he was sitting, like if there were children in the restaurant, like you would see it across that was my only, with that, it's just like, that's a great shirt for if you're at a concert or an 18+ venue even or something. But a restaurant with kids all around, I'm staring.
It's even the people you see around here with huge decals that say F this politician or whatever. And I'm like, does it really feel cool?
I know.
Do you feel that cool?
I just, that's one of those.
It doesn't look that cool.
No. Not especially with the full letters and stuff. I'm just oh yeah.
Sick.
There are other ways of doing that without having that, being on your car all over the place.
BNS in 20 minutes or less.
You love your car. Bet you'd love lower interest and lower payments too. Refinance your auto loan with House of Cars and love the freedom of having more money in your pocket. Visit houseofcarscalgary.com.
The BNS in 20 minutes or less podcast.
So right after we left work on Friday, that's when the province made their announcement about the return of certain COVID-19 restrictions.
Yes.
Masks are back in indoor spaces in the province, an early end to liquor service at bars and restaurants.
Yeah.
And then the one that I think was the real topic of conversation this weekend, this $100 prepaid debit card, which is being offered as an incentive to anyone who gets vaccinated between now and October 14th.
Yeah.
So the way this works is that if you are 18 years or older and you haven't received your vaccine yet, I think starting on September 13th, they're going to launch this website where you can go and register, and then you'll get a $100 prepaid debit card. Mm-hmm. And the premier says they think it's going to cost about $20 million to do this.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this, Shauna? Because like I said, everyone was talking about this on the weekend, about the financial incentive. We're the first province in Canada to do this.
Yeah.
We are the least vaccinated province in Canada. Mm-hmm. I think our eligible population that's vaccinated is a full 10% behind, say, Quebec, for instance. We're also a very young population here.
Yeah.
And you tend to see lower vaccination rates among young people. Mm-hmm. So do you think this will work? Will this move the needle?
I think it'll work.
You think so?
I think it'll work a little bit. I don't know how much, to what degree it will work, but I think it will work. I mean, cash is king. That's a saying for a reason. Mm-hmm. People will be encouraged to do this if they were on the fence before. Now, I'm not talking about people who are completely against getting vaccinated. Obviously, they're not going to change their opinions. But I think adding a cash incentive will help those who maybe have just been lollygagging about the whole thing. People who maybe have just been I'm just too busy. I'll get to it. Well, now maybe this will be the catalyst that kind of sends them over to get vaccinated.
This is the motivator, you think?
Yes, I do. I think that it'll work for that reason.
Yeah, I think it'll work a little bit, like you said, for certain people. I think maybe young people.
Yep. I think even maybe there's some people who haven't been vaccinated because they're really busy. They can't take the time off work. They have a family. Maybe there's just a lot of concerns that way that have made them not do it yet. And I think for those people, this might help too, because it is $100. Mm-hmm. So that will...
$100 is $100.
It is, yeah.
On the other hand, though, I thought, I can think of some people who this might have the opposite effect on. Because one of the sentiments I've seen going around amongst people who are against the vaccine, mm-hmm. the vaccine hesitant, and this is not me saying this is what I've read. They say if we need to be bribed and incentivized and intimidated and bullied into getting the vaccine, then is it really that good? And I don't agree with them, but that is the sentiment I have seen online. So to offer a financial incentive, I think may push some of those folks deeper into their...
But again, I don't think those people were going to get it no matter what.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think those are the people who... This is not for them. If you are very against the vaccine, I don't think much will convince you otherwise, because again, the government doing anything is going to further push them away. Anything at all.
Yeah.
Even coming out and saying, because it's
the lottery's probably pushed them further away.
Right? Like, that's not, I don't think, who this is for. This is definitely more for the people who, just need that little extra push. Maybe you're kind of teetering on the line there.
I'm thinking of a couple friends I know who aren't vaccinated. One of them is pretty strongly against it, and the other one's just kind of sitting on the fence still. And the $100 is going to do nothing for either of them. Like, it wouldn't be enough to move the needle.
No.
So,
yeah.
But that's not everybody.
No.
Like you said, like, for people who are just, haven't gotten around to it, maybe a $100 kick in the ass is enough to get them to make an appointment.
Yep. People who are struggling financially, which is a lot of people right now. $100 is $100.
Good point.
The BNS in 20 minutes or less podcast.
We've talked before about how when you get a knock on the door, you just don't answer it anymore, right?
Yeah, I just let the person stand there, and they're very confused.
It's going to be somebody selling something to you. Like, anybody who you're expecting, obviously, in advance they're coming. They'll be texting, they'll call, or whatever.
Yep.
And you'll know. If it's just a random knock at the door, you just leave it, because it's going to be somebody trying to sell you something.
Or get me to convert to their religion or something. It's someone I don't want to talk to, probably.
Well, I just learned that the Japanese actually have a term for this, and it's irusu, and it means pretending not to be home when an unwanted guest knocks at the door.
That's perfect.
So it happens so often in Japan that they actually have a dedicated term to it, whereas we don't. And it's funny because this is just anecdotal, but growing up, my neighbors were Japanese, and they never answered their door ever. It was known that no matter what, like if we threw our ball over or whatever, you'd try knocking on the door, and they'd stare right through the window. They'd look at you, and they would not answer the door. Like, they were just like...
Pulling a bit of the old irusu, weren't they?
Honestly, they were.
Is it a verb?
That's good. I don't know. I would be... Yeah.
Like we practice irusu at our house. Was that how it would work?
Yeah.
Or
I'll have to double check that.
Feeling or something?
But I believe it's a verb. It's just, that's what it is. Irusu just means that you don't...
Oh, I love irusu.
I know.
I love doing the old irusu.
I know. I was thinking, we need to come up with an English term for this. We need a term for it too, because everybody does it now. It's common enough that I think we need our own term.
It's so cool how other languages have words for things that we all know.
Yes.
We don't have a term for it. You have to describe it as pretending not to be home when an unwanted guest is at the door.
And there's a term right there.
Irusu.
Yes.
So what would the English term be?
I don't know. I was trying to figure it out because I was looking up how most of our terms originate from Latin or Old English or
Greek
something.
Yep.
And I guess ignore. I was like, okay, what's the Latin term for ignore? And it comes from ignoramus. So I was like, ignoramus knock, but that's too much. That's too wordy. There's too many syllables.
Isn't an ignoramus like an ignorant person?
Yes, but I guess the word ignore also came from that root way back when. But anyway,
okay.
So that doesn't work. Then ignorador. I mean, that was just the words sandwiched together. Not very creative as well. But
we always
practice the art of ignorador.
We always used to hide behind the couch and pretend we weren't home, so that no one would see you moving about in the house. So
right.
I don't know, something to do with that.
Yeah. Couch.
Couch crouch.
Do the old couch crouch.
BNS in 20 minutes or less.
My buddy said he was at a wedding on the weekend, and there was a girl there wearing a backless dress, and she had the most white girl tattoo ever.
Okay.
And it wasn't the infinity symbol that turns into birds partway through, because that's pretty white.
Beautiful.
That's a white girl.
Was
tattoo.
it a dolphin?
Wasn't a dolphin.
Oh, that's pretty okay.
All the way down her back, big too. It said, "Love life, laugh often, dream big, give back."
Oh, the full saying.
And with some bonus words in there, too.
Yeah.
We had live and life and laugh and dream. And then all of those, got them all in there.
Covered them all.
In 8 words. Just I was like, at that point, you should have a QR code that just beep, I am a white girl. That's all that comes up. It takes you to someone's Etsy page where they have Barnwood Crafts or something. That is the most white girl tattoo you can get.
That's something. I mean, I like it. The message is great, but my God, yeah. Could you get more white girl? I don't think so.
My favorite is the variation on it, because we've talked a lot about live, laugh, love, of course, but
yeah, she's being creative. She's adding her own little Etsy flair to it.
The give back part, and it's on her back. There it is.
Oh my God. Yeah, the QR code should just go to that tattoo, to the artist, so you can get the one too. Do you like this? Yeah, I came up with this here. QR beep, you can get your own now.
Give back.
Oh,
and it's on my back.
Oh, that's clever.
Can I get some of that back?
Okay.
Great work.
BNS in 20 minutes or less.
My boyfriend knows this guy, and I actually met him on the weekend, and he swears he's in witness protection. So this This guy has a really thick Irish accent, and he talks about how he used to live in Dublin. He used to work at one of the biggest bars there. And then the way he talks, it makes you feel as though he may have been involved in perhaps some criminal activity during the Troubles in Ireland. And he's a little bit rough around the edges. He's clearly seen some things, but he has no family around, and he doesn't really get close to many people. And he now lives in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. And when you hear the whole story and you start talking to him, you're just like, there's something weird about this whole thing.
It's like it kind of seems like he's on the run from something.
A little bit, yeah. Like, it's just a very interesting fellow to know. And my boyfriend's like, I swear one day he's just going to disappear and nobody's going to know where he went, and that's just going to be it. Like, it will be like, I wonder whatever happened to that guy. It did get me thinking about witness protection as a whole, though, and how exactly that works. And, obviously, I know if you're in danger, you qualify. But I was actually reading about how in the States, the specifics are you get paid $60,000 a year to land on your feet. So the U.S. Marshals pick where you go. You're allowed to pick your new name, but you're never allowed to return to the city that you're from, right? Nor can you contact anybody who used to be in your past. No family members from there unless they're in protection with you. You basically have to completely erase your history. And it's so bizarre to think that this actually does happen. Like, fairly often. There are quite a few people who are in witness protection.
Yeah, I can't think of anything weirder happening in your whole life.
No.
Where you have to pick up and change your name and pretend that you aren't who you are.
Yeah.
Go live somewhere where you don't know a soul.
Yeah.
So if this Irish dude you're talking about was in some form of, he wouldn't be talking about like where he was from, and
that's exactly. That would kind of defeat the purpose of it. But part of me wonders if that's
you also can't hide a very thick Irish accent in Saskatchewan, can you?
So I was like, maybe that's not the real story. Maybe he's from somewhere else in Ireland, but he does have an Irish accent, so he has something to do with that. Anyway, I know like that's probably far-fetched. It's just, it is interesting to hear like whether he's on the run or whatever, but very strange. I was also reading about witness protection, and I guess they used to help a bit more. Like the U.S. Marshals used to help people out a little more. I think you even got a little bit more money, and people objected to that because so many people in witness protection are criminals, and people didn't like that the government was then assisting the criminals as much. So they were saying, like, we need to do a little less. Like, come on, these guys are, a lot of the time, criminals who've divulged information about gangs or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say they probably look at it as a good investment if, someone turns on their partners in crime.
Yeah, yeah. But, again, other people, the public, were like, hey now. Like, come on, you don't want to help them too much.
It'd be even worse, though, if you just, like, stumbled across some information.
I know.
If you had to go into witness protection, not because of anything that you did wrong, but just like happened to come across some information that put you at risk.
And it's permanent. Like you really just can't contact family forever. Like your family just assumes you disappeared. Like they would not know. You would just be gone.
Wow.
And you can't contact anybody if you want to remain in witness protection.
They tell you where you're going, hey?
They do, yeah.
Well, that sucks.
Oh, man.
It's like,
that's what...
How about
with this
you?
guy, he wound up in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
BNS in 20 minutes or less.
Don't know if you saw this story from the Jays game on Friday, Shauna, but as I know the Marriott Hotel at the Rogers Centre has rooms that overlook the ball field, right?
Yes.
It's from the 5th deck, I think.
Yeah.
And there was a group of friends in there filming batting practice, and someone on the field made a perfect throw up to the window, and like one of the guys in there caught it. And the video is awesome. The angle makes the throw look almost impossible, and the catch looks super impressive. And then the Toronto Star was trying to figure out which player made the throw.
Yeah.
And it turns out it wasn't a player at all. It was the Jays' performance coach, this guy named Jimmy Van Ostrand.
Good for him.
Yeah.
When you see the video, it's amazing. It's just like, I don't know how the accuracy is insane. Like
apparently he plunked the first one off just below the window, and then his second throw was perfect. But they were saying that the players during batting practice will regularly make throws up to the fans there.
That's awesome.
And it is kind of a tricky throw.
No kidding.
And then this time it just happened to be a coach.
Hilarious.
So I mean, you got the staff with guns out there at
it's impressive.
At the Rogers Centre, I know.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure Buck and Pat would be impressed, too.
It's a beautiful night at the ballpark where someone just threw a frozen rope through the 5th deck window.
I don't even think that was a player, Buck. Who the hell was that?
I tell you, I've seen some of the vendors slinging hot dogs around here, and they could put some serious mustard on them.
Well, the woman who works the will call window is built like a brick sheet house.
I certainly wouldn't block the plate if she was coming home.
Well, she'll run through you.
Come to think of it, Buck, I saw the cleaning ladies taking BP the other day, and one of them hit 2 bombs in the upper deck.
Just a reminder that Tuesday night is Staff Appreciation Night here.
I appreciate the hell out of that cleaning lady.
You've been listening to the B&S in 20 Minutes or Less podcast.
For House of Cars. Until January 15th, enter to have House of Cars wipe out your debt for free. No strings attached. Visit houseofcarscalgary.com.
You want more? Then tune in to X Mornings with Beckler and Shauna live on Calgary's alternative X929. Monday through Friday, 6 to 10 a.m. Mountain Time at x929.ca. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and have B&S in 20 Minutes or Less downloaded daily to whatever device you use. Later.